One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Rookie Life Podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Profit, and I want to say thank you so much for joining us here today for episode 43. I'm really excited about today's guest because she is just such a joy to talk to. It was so much fun, and I learned so much about myself in ways that I can think bigger and grow bigger just by implementing some really basic things. So I can't wait for you to hear today's interview because, let's just be honest, it was really, really good. But if you're brand new to the Rookie Life, welcome. Let me tell you some of the other things we talk about here on the podcast. We focus on what it means to start something new, even when you have no idea where to begin, how to develop new skills in all areas of your life, and how to find that it factor that'll keep you motivated every single day. So join us as we dive headfirst into what it means to be a rookie. Come on, rookies, we all have to start somewhere. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. Do you see? Yeah, okay. So are you looking to start a podcast in 2019? But you're thinking, I don't know what I'd talk about. Like, I have no idea even where to get started. Don't even let that thought overwhelm you, because guess what? I've done all the work for you. I've actually created a workbook that has 500 podcast ideas for any industry. That's right, 500. Actually, it's over 500. I think it's like 554 for any kind of podcast. I specifically created this tool for entrepreneurs who aren't sure if podcasting is right for them. They say, well, I have a blank, insert any kind of industry, business. Will a podcast work for me? My answer 99.99999% of the time is yes, a podcast will totally work for that kind of business. So let's say you're in personal finance or real estate or business or marketing or technology or beauty and fashion or pet services or life coaching or parenting or any other number of industries. I've got you covered. Let me show you some podcast ideas that I have for you to get started. You can go to crystalprofit.com/500 podcast ideas. That's Crystal with a K, profit with 2 F's and 2 T's. crystalprofit.com/500 podcast ideas, and you can grab this free, 100% free download today. Hey rookies, and welcome back. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to remind you of a couple of things. The first is be sure and subscribe to the show so you don't miss any episodes. And we always provide all of the show notes for everything that you hear here at crystalprofit.com/podcast. That's Crystal with a K, profit with 2 F's and 2 T's /podcast. You can check out the show notes for this week's episode or grab any of our guests' content or follow them on social media. It's just a great place to find all things podcast. And also, I really would appreciate it if you would leave us a rating and a review in iTunes. This is such a great thing to do for us podcasters because it helps us out in rankings and does all kinds of cool stuff behind the scenes. So I'd appreciate it if you would leave us a review and just leave a comment. Which one has been your favorite episode? What have you learned? What is something that you would love to hear us talk about in the future? I really appreciate it. All right, so let's dive right into everything about coaching with Elsa. So today's guest is Elsa Johnson, and she's known for helping clients get back to loving their business and personal life. And her mission is to support other entrepreneurs from feeling stuck, frustrated, or burned out. Y'all, I've been there. Trust me, it ain't fun. It's not fun. I don't want to hang out there for a long time. So I love that she does this. She helps entrepreneurs reignite their passion, identify what they want, what works, what doesn't work, and feel empowered to successfully choose the personal and professional lifestyle they always knew they wanted. Elsa is a serial entrepreneur with a corporate background, and the major breakthrough in her entrepreneurial journey came when she discovered that sustainable success in business and life is directly related to how well you manage your mindset. Y'all, this is so good. Oh, I just can't wait for y'all to hear more about Elsa in our interview. But this discovery sparked Elsa's fascination with personal leadership and deep passion for helping others succeed. Elsa is very excited to work as an empowerment and clarity coach for creative entrepreneurs and professionals. Elsa has traveled the world and now lives in Scottsdale, Arizona with her husband, and she loves to mountain bike in the beautiful Sonora Desert. So let's jump right into my interview with Elsa Johnson. Okay, Rookie Podcast listeners, I'm so excited to introduce to you today Elsa Johnson, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we've kind of give the listeners a little bit about your background and your bio and all the awesome things that you do, but can you tell us a little bit about your story, who you are, where you've come from, and how you are in your journey where you are today?
Sure. I'll be happy to share that with you. I'm born and raised in Denmark, moved to the U.S. in my late 20s. And before that, I'd actually lived both in Switzerland, Spain, and Holland and worked there too. I moved in several states in the U.S. and now I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. In that meantime, I also had a little stint in China. So I have been a little bit everywhere and learned from every step of the way. I've been in corporate. I've had a business, an entrepreneurial journey that's been spanned over 20 years. And within the last 2 years, I've established my coaching session because that's where I found that I love my coaching business because this is where my passion is. And it's always been lifting other people up to live the best life they can live and, go for what they want to do confidently and competently.
That's awesome. Oh, I love all the travels. I'm like, there's a lot of questions I can ask about just that alone. I'm like, no, focus on the coaching. We're going to focus on the coaching. Well, okay. So here's a question. How do you find yourself interacting with people from, that have different backgrounds? Like if it is an international, person that you're dealing with, or, someone that is just from like culturally different than you, like how has that experience shaped how you approach your customers and your clients today?
I don't really think there's a big difference about how you treat a person from a different culture than one from your own. It starts with respecting that other human being, that it's a human being that's in front of you. It's not a culture, it's not a religion, it's not a whatever lifestyle they live. It's a human being. It's a fellow human being, and respecting that person for being that. And being open to learn and understand that human being. It's not about looking at everything that differs, that makes us different. It's look at what makes us similar.
Oh, I love that. And it's funny because I was telling Elsa, before we, hopped on and started recording, you know, just being able to tell and share people's stories is what we're all about. And I love the connection that you just made. It's not about finding differences, it's about finding similarities, because even though you've been in this business for a long time and you've had your own journey, there's so many things that we can learn from you. And that's what I want to dive into today. So tell me about your coaching business, and who is your ideal client? Like, do you just solely work with entrepreneurs?
My ideal client is the person that feel there's more out there for me. I know there's more out there for me. I'm not living the life that I really want, but they feel stuck. They feel frustrated. They feel that everybody else comes first in their lives. And they just feel like there's something missing inside. They are working way too hard for finding that passion inside of themselves being fulfilled. So that's my ideal client. A lot of times that describes the entrepreneur. We know that we can do more than what we're doing. We have this undefined, undescribed kind of feeling inside that we know there's something out there that we can do. And sometimes we just need to look at it a little bit differently to take off and do it with no fear or no hesitation, and believe that can actually happen. And at the same time, feel like we don't leave everybody else behind. Because I think that's where, especially women, we are so used to taking care of everybody else in front of ourselves. And by doing that, we do sometimes forget to live our purpose, and that's really where I feel like that's my client. In the coaching world, you can talk to so many people, or direct your message to so many people, but I really truly feel that once you have that connection with a person that really wants to grow beyond themselves, grow beyond what they are capable of, or they feel they're capable of, because we are truly be capable of so much more than we think. I've always felt like that sort of describes the entrepreneurial spirit for a lot of women.
For sure. Like I'm just sitting here, I'm like, yes, you're talking to me. Like, yes, you're 100% talking to me. So with that being said, do you, how long is a coaching session? Like, are you looking to work with a client for 6 months, for a year, for 10 years? Like, what does that look like for you and the clients that you've currently worked with or you've worked with in the past?
A coaching experience is different from person to person, just because we are different people. Some people need a very short coaching engagement that gets you, okay, now I know I can take it from here. There are some people, they're just like that. Some people come into it with a little bit of hesitation. Is this really going to work? What difference can it make for me? And then it takes a little bit longer. I would say the only thing coaching is not, it should never.
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants. Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
Be a 10-year gig, because then I'm not effective. My goal for you is to empower you to live the best life you can live without me being there every second of the day telling you what to do. I want to empower you with tools so when you are faced with challenges or faced with new opportunities or whatever it is that is in front of you, that you can look at that toolbox that we have created and you say, oh yeah, that's the tool I need. So I will never want a coaching session to be like I tell them, we're looking at a 10-year horizon, then I'm not doing my job. Most coaching, effective coaching, will typically be 6 to 12 months. Some even go up to 18 months, because as you start peeling away that onion, you start really connecting with things within yourself, whether it's business coaching or sales coaching or marketing coaching. There's always, you have to go to that point and figure out what's holding you back. And that typically cannot be done over a short period of time for most people. That being said, I do offer, sort of like packages that you can do it a little bit on your own. But I've found that the true result comes from you and I working on it.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's a period of time of just getting to know someone. You couldn't just like really dive deep into someone. It's almost like, therapy or a fitness coach or something. Like you can't start doing it and then expect tomorrow your whole life is going to be changed. So if someone were sitting here listening and they're saying, man, I kind of feel this way. Like I want someone to help me. I want someone to guide me. How does someone really know when they're ready to take that next step to, seek guidance from a coach, and how would they go about finding one?
The first step becomes when you feel like I'm stuck, I'm really stuck. You have listened to everybody else's advice. Nothing quite seemed to resonate with you. It's like, or you have tried what, your accountant told you to do. Now I'm talking entrepreneurial, right? Or if it's in your personal life, you have listened to what your mother said, your sister said, your best friend said, your husband said, your boyfriend, whatever. Everybody has told you what to do, and nothing makes sense. And it just seems like, yeah, I know there's something, but I just can't quite pinpoint it. I know I'm meant for more. I can be happier. I can feel less stress. That's sort of that first grain of there is sown into you that just like, there's something out there better for me. And it's a very, I think we all have been there, that feeling like something is off. I don't live as well as I could be. How do you go about finding it? It's about talking to people, talking to, maybe somebody who has a coach, but also just reading through some of the things, not necessarily just the whole website, but maybe go on their different social media or where are they at and see, does any of those things resonate with you? Are they speaking your language? Because just like we all have different best friends, you have to have that connection. You have to have that karma or, chemistry or whatever you like to call it. This is a human interaction, and that human interaction has to be free of of anything that would distract from you getting results. So you really have to connect with a person.
Yeah. I mean,
let down your barriers and just be you.
yeah, because I can imagine the rawness of something that may be holding you back is maybe something you don't even want to admit. You know, maybe you have some bad habits or something and you're like, I don't want anybody to see this part of my life, or, you know, how messy my desk is, or how, you know, cluttered my inbox is, or anything like that. But you have to be vulnerable to have a relationship like that. So that brings me to a question I had is, did you have like a defining moment in your career, you know, before you started coaching or doing anything, that you said, you know what, I can really help people and this is exactly what I'm meant to be doing? Like, can you kind of tell us how you stepped into the role of being a coach and what made you make that decision?
Oh, absolutely. The funny thing is, when you look back, like when I look back, I've done it my whole life. I just didn't realize it. It wasn't until I was at a CEO mastermind group for small entrepreneurs, and this woman who is an amazing business coach, she will get your finances in shape like nobody's business. And we were in a roundtable mastermind group, and afterwards she came up to me and she said to me, "You're doing the wrong thing. Do you know that?" And I was like, what are you talking about? You know? And yeah, so I was at the CEO mastermind weekend, and this woman told me that you are giving people guidance in a way that makes them think. Have them look at things they haven't looked at before. And when she said that, I never looked at it that way. And I started looking back and saying, that's really what I always been on. I always wanted other people to succeed, my colleagues, other people. When I go, it was never about me getting that next client or me having too much information when I was together with, you know, industry peers. It was always like, how can I help that person become better at what they do? And I took some time and really started reflecting and saying, that is really my true inner purpose. To connect with people and help them live the life they always wanted. And there was no turning back. There was just no turning back. I had an interior design business and I loved it. But I also saw all the challenges, especially in that industry, where people, because it is a lot of second or third career paths for a lot of people in interior design or window coverings, that they come into it because they're really good at it, or because, you know, they feel like they want to make beautiful homes, all for all kinds of reasons. But not a lot of them comes into that particular, the creative industry, to make a lot of money. And that's where there becomes a disconnect. I'm not saying you need to go in there to make a lot of money, but you need to go in there with the realism that you're a business owner. A creative person is a business owner. And if you want to run it as a business, you have to think like a business owner, not like the creative person. And when you do that, you will allow yourself enough time to have the passion for what you're doing. And you will allow yourself financially in a space where you have the time, and allow yourself the time to be the person that you want to be in that creative space. But a lot of us forget that. We forget we are business owners, and we forget that we run the show. And it just, like I said, when I came to that realization, I said, I want to help people with that. I want to help people create the life that they want on their terms. Because you can say I'm successful if I made $20,000 a year or 20 million. I don't care where you are in that spectrum or what it means, but you have to define what success is, and you have to create your path that gets you there. And it starts with how you think.
Well, I love that you addressed creatives directly, because I feel like, you know, that's where I land, you know, like I have lots of ideas and lots of like cool things that I want to do. But at the same time, for me, money has never really been a thing. Like it's been like a bonus, it's like, hey, if this works out and I actually make money at it, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm learning so many things. And I have just, really been able to help other people learn things in the creative space. So I'm so glad that you shared that. And I want to switch gears for a second and talk about coaching in particular, because I feel like, and this is probably just where I am in the online community, with just like building online businesses and doing things virtually. And I see a lot of people who are claiming to be coaches and they're like 18 years old. And I'm like, what are you coaching? What life experience do you really have? Like they're trying to tell people how to, build a business, do this, do that. And, so, and I just see that this space seems like it's overcrowded. And so if someone were to ask you, I think I'm qualified to be a coach, what guidance would you give to them?
My guidance would be to look at themselves, saying, what do you know? Where do you have expertise? You cannot go coach a CEO for a multi-million-dollar company. You cannot coach somebody like that. Not on the business aspect. You have to have some experience in what you're coaching on. We all have life experiences. So maybe that 18 to 24-year-old can be a coach for somebody. They might be a little bit more mature than their peers. A 23-year-old that is out there, walking around aimlessly and don't know what the next step to take because society has defined something that just doesn't fit in with their personality. You might be able to help that person. But look at what you know. You can read a lot of things in books. You can take as many certificates as you want to. And that will not make you a better coach. It's how you apply what you learn. Either learn from your life experiences or from your academic experiences. And that's a tricky part in coaching because we are not counselors. But, we're not therapists, we're not counselors, but a good coach still needs to know psychology. They still need to know human behavior. And I think that's a problem in the space today because the entry to barrier is so low, like you were just talking about. Everybody can put a website together and say, I'm a coach. But very quickly, if you don't get results for people or they don't feel a value in what you're doing, you're not going to be a very successful coach. You have to have something inside of you that drives that passion, and whatever that is. And like when I started, I decided I had a boatload basically of life experiences, not only from meeting a lot of new people and having to move a lot and adjust myself to new, places to live and new friends and family and all that stuff, but I started studying neuro-linguistic programming, cognitive behavioral therapy. So I've learned these things over the last couple of years to understand what I innately knew about human behavior, but from more of a psychological perspective. So I understand when I say something to people, I understand why or why not they might react to me in a way or help them understand their own reactions better. So it's a long answer to your question, but you have to have some substance no matter what you do.
Well, no, go ahead.
And you have to have the passion for helping people, but also helping them in an authentic way. And that requires you to do a lot of work on yourself.
So the coach becomes like, you got to be a trainee in your own, like just facing exactly, well, are you up to this? Because people are, they're going to be dependent on you to get them results and to, help them become a better version of themselves. Is that right? Like, is that, I'm just like interpreting everything that you just said. And I feel like it's just a matter of taking all these things that you've learned, like you said, whether it's from books or experiences or formal education, and applying that personally to each individual client.
Exactly. And like we talked about before with that toolbox that I want to equip you with, I refer to my own toolbox all the time. And I think one of the best pieces of advice that I've got from one of my mentors and my coaches is that says you can never ask a client to go where you have not gone yourself. Because it's like telling somebody who's afraid of the dark to go out in the dark without somebody holding their hand. And that's where you sometimes have to go. And if I've not done that myself, it's not really right of me to ask somebody else to do it. I might not be afraid of the dark, but there's other fears or concerns or hesitations that I've had in my life, or dirty laundry that I needed to, open up or take care of. And if I have not been able to do that, how can I really teach somebody to do it? Or I'm not even teaching, I'm just showing them the way how to do it for themselves.
Well, it sounds like you definitely have the ethical mindset of what an actual coach is and what a coach should be, and what you as listeners should expect from someone that calls themselves a coach. Because it just sounds like, you're not going to tell someone, hey, I'm qualified to do this. I'm qualified to run a marathon when you've never even finished a 5K, like it's not. So I appreciate that. I appreciate, your honesty and like you just letting it, telling us like it is, because I feel like if there is someone out there that has considered hiring a coach, I think that you just kind of raise the bar for what to expect, and at least have some guidance or some knowledge of what you should have an expectation of on someone else. So that's great. That's great. I actually have another question. So if someone were to go online and like you said, like I'm looking for a coach, let's just say I decide today, okay, I'm going to go look for a coach. I've found about 4 people. Mm-hmm. And how does the process work with finding a coach? Like, is it, you buy a package and then you just immediately start working? Is there like a trial period? Like what if, we decided, hey, we're going to work together, but then our personalities clash or something like that? How does that work? Or have you had any experience with that?
Yes, each coach set themselves up differently. I typically, if I have a new client, I get on a discovery call with them. It's a complimentary time. You and I together sit, we talk, and very quickly we will feel if there is, as I mentioned before, that connection or that chemistry between us. I've been personally pretty good at very quickly seeing if this is a client there is ready to work. And that's the most important thing. There's people that think they're ready and they're not really ready. And I have a few questions for them that they may not know that that's what I'm trying to gauge, because it doesn't serve me or them that we go into a relationship where they don't get results. So I personally feel that a discovery call is important. That it's important that you at least talk to the person and see if you at all speak the same language. And also to find out, again, going back to the integrity piece, is saying, what is it that you're looking to change in your life? Is that something that I feel I can help you with? And if it's not, I shouldn't take you on as a client. Going back to your question about, do we set up the package? What if the package doesn't work? That is a little bit trickier for some people to understand, that if you set up like a 2-month session, it's not typically, there's very, very strenuous specific circumstances if we cancel the contract, because coaching is a value-based thing. The time we have spent together can never be returned, right? So, and hopefully no matter what, you have got some experience out of that if you truly reflect on it, that you can use going forward. So it should never be that you're left without any kind of value in what you've gotten. The last thing that is important is to understand it's a commitment. It's a commitment for you to go into this coaching commitment. And for me, being in business before, one thing I hated when I was in my interior design business is client constantly calling me and changing the schedule on me. I don't like that in a coaching relationship too, because it's not me who is missing out, it's you. It's your time. It's your time to honor yourself and your journey. So you have to be ready and committed to do it. And if you're ready and committed to do it, you will see results. I can't force you to do it.
Right. Well, without giving away any kind of like anybody's personal information, is there anything that you can share with us, like a success story of one of your students, or maybe like a most improved, like, what is an example of what someone can expect? What kind of results?
One that immediately comes to my mind is this was actually a gentleman who came to me because he had to go through some testing that was required for him to continue his business. He was extremely anxious. He was afraid that he had actually taken the test a couple of times and failed. So you can imagine the stress level. This was his livelihood on the line. And we worked together, and I had to say he passed the test, everything was good. But I think for him, he was truly amazed of that what he thought was the problem wasn't really the problem. And how what we talked about has changed things for him, not just getting his certificate, but how he approached other things in life. And I think that's where most of my coaching clients see the results, is like they come to me for one thing and they don't realize what a domino effect it has on the rest of their lives and the rest of their relationships.
That's so good, because I'm just sitting here, so like I'm nodding along. I'm saying, yeah, because I've been in the exact same situation. I thought I was having time management problems, and really it was, a bad habit that I had somewhere else. So I can totally relate to that. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to hear, that your clients are not only just getting results, but it sounds like you've really helped them find the confidence in themselves to do the things that maybe they just don't believe. Maybe that's an issue too. Like they just don't have the faith in themselves that they can really do it. So I'm glad to hear that, your clients have seen a lot of success with that. But I want to switch gears, and we're going to, I have a few questions. There are keeping it real questions that we ask all of our guests.
Sure.
And the first one is, what motivates you on days when everything is just super tough? You're running late, you've spilled your coffee, maybe you spilled it on your pants, I don't know, but it's just a tough day. How do you keep going?
Remembering that tomorrow will be different. And remembering that if everything was perfect, I would never appreciate that, the days that are just awesome. Where you're running around like Ricky Balboa and, with your arms in your air. And then just honor it. Honor the moment that, yeah, it is shitty. It is, and just allowing yourself to feel that way. Because just as I don't want my clients to feel they have to be perfect all the time, I know I can't be perfect. And the things around me cannot be perfect. And sometimes you have to, when the kids were little, you have to, run and get them from daycare because they're sick, or, you totally forgot to put this stuff in your calendar and you just totally dropped the ball. The most important thing is like acknowledging it. And if you let other people down, telling them you're sorry. Don't make excuses for it. It happened.
Oh, that's so good. I felt like she was talking directly to me on that one anyway. It's like, I've done that, and I felt guilty about that. So yes, that was perfect. But it was a great segue, because my next question is, do you consider yourself a perfectionist?
I'm a recovering perfectionist. Let me put it that way. When I realized that my perfectionism actually was very, very intertwined with procrastination, I started saying, what is this even good for then? And then also when I realized that, like, take your iPhone, for example. Like, the first phone, mobile phone was made, like, I think it was in 1973. If they wanted to have waited till they have an iPhone 10 prototype, it would never have happened. So if you don't put something out there, you can never improve on it.
That was good. I feel like I think our listeners will really resonate with that, because a lot of them are trying to start a business and get something off the ground, or they have an idea that they just think, oh, I just know this could take off, but I want it to be perfect before I put it out into the world. So I feel like you just kind of gave us all permission. It's like, you never know what will happen until you just do it and put it out there.
Exactly. And for me as a coach, I think it also gives other permission to not get it perfect. When I can say, well, oh, I spelled this word wrong, or, me having English as a second language, sometimes when I write a post or I write something to people, it doesn't come through the way it did in my head, right?
Right.
You write something down, and again, going back to cultural barriers or just the way you say things, sometimes I remember early in my marriage, my husband would always make fun of my weird syntax, and he probably still does it sometimes. It's just that you, instead of saying I'm a perfectionist, you can say, like, I'm perfecting, because it has to be an action. It's not a noun or an adjective. You are constantly perfecting what you do.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so my last question that I have for you is, if you could go back and tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would you say to her?
It doesn't matter tomorrow.
I like it.
We are so nervous in the moment that, did I do this right? Or, what will people think? Or all these things. It's like, but tomorrow, it's history. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it's not important, but it's not that significant to either hold you back or to be anxious or to be, scared about.
Just do it.
Yes.
Just do it. And it doesn't have to be perfect.
It does not have to be perfect. And it's really, in this great scheme of things, it's just all becomes a beautiful collage called your life.
I love that. I love that. I don't know if that's your interior design background or your coaching or all of it rolled into one, but that is beautiful. So, a beautiful collage called your life. Oh my gosh. Well, that's the perfect place for us to end. Thank you so much, Elsa, for coming on the show today. And I want to tell everybody where they can find you. Where do you hang out online, or where could they set up one of these free coaching calls or the discovery calls where they can figure out if you could possibly be their coach and just the right person that they're looking for?
Oh, absolutely. And it was my pleasure to be here too. It's a wonderful talking with you. They can find me best. My company name is Elsa Johnson Coaching and Consulting, but my website is morethanjustfine.com. And that's my email too. My name is spelled ELSE at morethanjustfine. You can also find me on Facebook under that same thing, Facebook.com/more than just fine, or on Instagram with underscore between more than just fine. So underscore between each word. Facebook is where I mostly hang out and do my lives, do my posting. My website, I don't spend as much time on. I like to be with my clients instead, and I feel Facebook is a way that I can do that. I'm also on LinkedIn, but Facebook is probably where I would send most people. You can always reach out to me by email to set up the free call, or contact me via either Facebook or my webpage to set up a free discovery call, and just, I'd love to hear from you.
Perfect. Well, we're going to put all of that information, all those, the links and everywhere that you can find Elsa in the show notes for this episode. So don't worry if you didn't get a chance to write any of that down. We will have all the links. But thank you so much again, Elsa, for coming on the show today.
Oh, I appreciate it. It was my pleasure.
Y'all, I told you were going to love Elsa. That was such a good interview. And there's just so many things that she helped me get clarity on, and things that she really made me think about. Things that I hadn't thought about before, and it just helped me just readjust my perspective. And I hope that that's what you got out of our interview too, because it was so good. I really appreciated everything that she had to share. So make sure you go check out all of the awesome things that she has to share. Go look at her website, follow her on social media, and just go see what else she has to offer, because I really think that there's somebody out there listening right now that could really benefit from a coach. But y'all, that's all we have for this week. So remember to go subscribe to the show, leave a review, leave us a rating, and tell us what is the favorite thing that you love about the Rookie Life podcast. Stay tuned for next week's show. And remember, keep it up, rookies. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message, because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.